Imagine a place on Earth so dry it hasn't felt a single drop of significant rain for over 400 years. This isn't some forgotten corner of a vast continent. It's a 1,600-kilometer-long strip of land smacked right up against the largest ocean in the world. This is the Atacama Desert in northern Chile, and it's the closest you can get to Mars without leaving our planet. That's not an exaggeration. Weather records show that in certain parts of this desert, there was virtually no significant rainfall between 1570 and 1971. 4 centuries of silence from the sky. How is that even possible? What colossal forces of nature conspire to create such an extreme environment? And in a place defined by its impossible dryness, could anything possibly survive? We're about to journey into a landscape that pushes the very definition of a desert to its absolute limit. A place so alien it serves as a training ground for exploring other worlds. This is a story of geological walls, oceanic engines, and the surprising resilience of life at the edge of existence. To get your head around the Atacama, you have to understand it's not just a desert, it's a fortress, locked away from water by a perfect conspiracy of geography and climate. Most deserts are dry because they're far from oceans. The Atacama, however, lies right beside the immense Pacific. Water is tantalizingly close, yet it almost never arrives. The reason for this profound thirst is a 3-part system, a trifecta of natural forces working in ruthless harmony. First, picture 2 colossal walls guarding the desert on either side. To the east, the mighty Andes Mountains tower over the landscape, forming a massive barrier that blocks any moisture-rich air trying to move west from the Amazon basin. The clouds that water the world's largest rainforest crash against the eastern slopes of the Andes, shedding their rain long before they could ever reach the Atacama. This is a classic rain shadow. But the Atacama is special. It has a second wall. To the west, along the coast, stands the Chilean Coast Range. While not as high as the Andes, it's significant enough to do the same thing for clouds coming from the Pacific. It catches what little moisture dares to move inland, creating a double rain shadow, a valley of extreme dryness caught between 2 mountain ranges. The desert is effectively sealed off. The second major force is a powerful cold ocean current called the Humboldt Current. It flows north from the frigid waters of Antarctica along the coast of Chile. This current chills the air directly above the ocean's surface, creating a thermal inversion, a stubborn layer of cold air trapped beneath a layer of warmer air. Because the cold air is dense, it can't rise to form the big, towering clouds that bring rain. Instead of thunderstorms, all the Atacama gets from the ocean is a persistent, low-lying coastal fog, known locally as the Camanchaca. Finally, there's the atmospheric bully, known as the Pacific Anticyclone. This is a massive, semi-permanent, high-pressure system that just sits over the southeastern Pacific. High-pressure zones are weather killers. They push air downwards, stopping it from rising, cooling, and condensing into rain clouds. This system effectively deflects storms, steering them away from the coast and doubling down on the arid conditions created by the mountains and the ocean current. These 3 forces have been at work for millions of years. In fact, scientists believe the Atacama may be the oldest continuously arid desert on Earth, experiencing this hyper-aridity for at least the last 15 to 20 million years. The result is a landscape where the average annual rainfall is less than 1 millimeter, making it 50 times drier than California's Death Valley. There are even weather stations in the Atacama that have never, in their entire history, recorded a single drop of rain. It is this relentless, ancient dryness that has sculpted the Atacama into one of the most otherworldly places on our planet. So, what happens to a place that hasn't seen meaningful rain in 400 years? The answer is almost nothing. The lack of water brings a profound stillness. Without moisture, the normal processes of decay and erosion slow to a geological crawl. The Atacama is, in many ways, a landscape frozen in time. This incredible preservation has made it a treasure trove for archaeologists. One of the most stunning examples is the Chinchorro mummies. Long before the Egyptians began their famous funerary practices, the Chinchorro people, who lived on the Atacama coast, were developing complex mummification techniques. They were a society of marine hunter-gatherers, yet they devoted immense effort to preserving all members of their society, not just the elite. They would carefully disassemble bodies, reinforce skeletons with sticks, and restuff them with grasses before covering them with a distinctive mask of black or red clay. These are the oldest artificially prepared mummies in the world, predating their Egyptian counterparts by thousands of years. The desert's dryness has preserved them so perfectly that we can study their tattoos and stomach contents, offering an unprecedented window into a civilization from over 7,000 years ago. But here's the cruel irony. The very environment that protected them for millennia is now threatening them. Changes in local climate are increasing humidity, allowing microbes to grow and degrade the very mummies the desert kept safe. It's not just ancient remains that are kept in a state of suspended animation. The desert is also home to more recent ghosts. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the Atacama was the center of a global economic boom. Its floor contains the world's only naturally occurring miniable deposits of sodium nitrate, white gold. This mineral was a critical component for fertilizers and explosives, and a global rush began. Over 100 mining towns, known as salitreras, sprang up, attracting tens of thousands of workers. Towns like Humberstone and Santa Laura became thriving communities in the middle of nowhere, with theaters, swimming pools, and bustling town squares. But the boom wasn't built to last. During World War I, German scientists developed synthetic nitrate, and the Chilean monopoly vanished almost overnight. By the 1960s, the industry had collapsed, and the salitreras were abandoned. The exodus was so swift that the towns were left as they were. Today, they stand as eerie monuments to a bygone era. You can walk through workers' barracks and see tools left on a workbench or a calendar still hanging on a wall. The dry, sterile air has preserved wood, metal, and even paper, creating entire ghost towns that are now recognized as UNESCO World Heritage Sites. The Mars on Earth connection. The very qualities that make the Atacama a perfect preserver of the past also make it an ideal laboratory for the future. Its hyper-arid, radiation-blasted surface and seemingly sterile soil are so similar to the conditions on Mars that space agencies like NASA use it as the best analog for the red planet on Earth. For years, these agencies have used the Atacama to test the technologies and strategies they plan to use in the search for life on Mars. Projects like NASA's Atacama Rover Astrobiology Drilling Studies, or ARADS, have deployed prototype rovers here to practice navigating, drilling, and analyzing soil. It's no simple task. One critical lesson they've learned is that the soil chemistry here can actually mimic signs of life, producing false positives, something essential to understand before we analyze real Martian samples. Testing here allows them to refine their instruments, to learn how to distinguish between a genuine biological signal and a chemical ghost. If a rover's drill can't penetrate the Atacama's salt-encrusted ground, it won't stand a chance on Mars. The ARADS team spent years, between 2016 and 2019, working in the desert, practicing the entire process to ensure that when we finally get Martian soil, we know exactly what we're looking for. This connection to space runs even deeper. The Atacama's atmosphere, or lack thereof, is another link. The air is incredibly thin and clear, free from the humidity and turbulence that plague most of the world. This pristine sky makes the Atacama one of the best places on Earth for astronomy. Dotted across its high-altitude plateaus are some of the world's most powerful telescopes. The most famous is the Atacama Large Millimeter-Submillimeter Array, or ALMA. It's not a single telescope, but a constellation of 66 massive radio antennas working as one giant eye on the cosmos. Located at a breathtaking 5,000 meters, ALMA peers into the cold, dark universe, observing things invisible to optical telescopes. It can see through cosmic dust to watch the birth of stars and planets, and has been central to groundbreaking discoveries, like imaging the disk of material around a young star. Recently, it helped reveal the multiple origins of monster galaxies in the early universe. In a very real sense, the Atacama is a place where we look down at the ground to understand Mars, and look up at the sky to understand the origins of planets just like it. It's a world so alien, it helps us prepare for exploring other planets. This landscape is a bridge between our world and the cosmos. If you find this journey as fascinating as we do, make sure to subscribe. We have so much more to uncover, because the story of the Atacama has a shocking twist. In this place that seems utterly hostile to life, a hidden world of survivors is waiting to be revealed. After everything we've seen, the centuries without rain, the Mars-like soil, the preserved ghosts, you'd be forgiven for thinking the Atacama is a lifeless void. But this is where the story takes its most remarkable turn. Life, in its infinite tenacity, has found a way. It's not abundant and it's often hidden, but it's there, surviving through astonishing feats of adaptation. The most visible source of life-giving water isn't rain. It's that coastal fog, the Camanchaca. It can't form rain clouds, but it carries precious moisture. On the coastal hills known as lomas, this fog condenses on everything it touches, giving rise to a unique and fragile ecosystem. Cacti and lichens have evolved to capture this airborne water directly. For thousands of years, indigenous communities have mimicked this with fog nets, large mesh screens that catch the fog and funnel the condensed water, drop by drop, into collection systems, providing water for small villages. Further inland, life goes underground. While the surface is bone dry, deep beneath the desert floor lie ancient aquifers, fed by snow and ice that rarely fall on the highest Andean peaks. This subterranean water is the lifeblood of oases like San Pedro de Atacama, allowing communities to survive and even practice agriculture, just as their ancestors did for centuries. This underground water also feeds one of the Atacama's most surreal sights, the high-altitude lagoons. At over 4,000 meters above sea level, places like Salar de Atacama host brilliant blue lagoons crusted with white salt. These lagoons are home to one of the desert's most unexpected residents, flamingos. 3 different species thrive here, their brilliant pink a startling splash of color as they filter the brine for algae and tiny crustaceans. But the real masters of survival in the Atacama are microscopic. In the hyper-arid core of the desert, life makes its last stand inside the rocks themselves. These organisms are called extremophiles. Some are cyanobacteria that live inside translucent rocks like halite, which shield them from brutal UV radiation while letting in just enough sunlight for photosynthesis. They survive on minuscule amounts of water that condense inside the rock at night. Some microbes even produce acid to dissolve rock, freeing chemically bound water molecules, literally getting water from a stone. And then there is the Atacama's greatest spectacle, the Desierto Florido, the flowering desert. In years when the El Niño weather phenomenon brings unusual heavy rains, a breathtaking transformation occurs. Dormant seeds of over 200 flower species, asleep under the sand for years, suddenly awaken. Within weeks, vast stretches of barren desert are carpeted in a riot of purple, yellow, and white. This explosion of life is fleeting, lasting only a few weeks before the desert returns to its slumber. It's a powerful reminder that even in the driest place on Earth, life is never truly gone. It's just waiting. The Atacama isn't just a natural wonder, it's a human landscape, shaped by people for millennia and profoundly dangerous to those who enter unprepared. The most immediate danger is dehydration. With humidity often near zero, the dry air pulls moisture from your body with shocking speed. The danger doesn't end at sunset. The lack of atmospheric moisture means there's nothing to hold on to the day's heat. Temperatures can plummet by over 30 degrees Celsius, dropping from scorching highs to below freezing overnight. Then there's the paradox of the floods. In a desert defined by its lack of rain, rare downpours can be catastrophic. The bone-dry earth can't absorb the water, which instantly turns into flash floods and powerful mud flows, or alluviones. In 2015, an extreme rainfall event caused devastating floods, leading to dozens of deaths and thousands of damaged homes in cities like Copiapó. It's a cruel irony. The most precious resource, when it finally arrives, can bring utter destruction. Yet despite these dangers, humans have found ways to thrive here. The indigenous Atacameño people have inhabited the oases for thousands of years, developing a sophisticated understanding of this fragile environment. They built complex irrigation channels to manage water from mountain snowmelt, cultivating crops and establishing trade routes across this formidable landscape. Their presence is a testament to human ingenuity. This human story, from the ancient Chinchorro to modern-day astronomers, highlights the dual nature of the Atacama. It's a place of profound isolation, yet it's deeply connected to the rest of the world and the universe. Nowhere is this clearer than at observatories like ALMA. As astronomers use the desert sky to look back toward the birth of the universe, they're continuing a long human tradition in the Atacama, using this extreme environment to seek answers to our biggest questions. So, the Atacama Desert is a land of profound contradictions. It's a desert that sits beside an ocean, a place of stunning beauty that's also one of the harshest environments on Earth. It's a landscape that appears lifeless, yet harbors a secret world of tenacious survivors. For 400 years, rain was a forgotten memory in its driest corners, a testament to the colossal planetary forces that sealed it away from the world's weather. We've seen how the double rain shadow and the Humboldt current choke the clouds. We've seen the ghosts of its nitrate past preserved in the sterile air, and how its Martian landscape is helping us prepare to search for life on other worlds. But perhaps the most powerful lesson from the Atacama is resilience. We saw it in the fog-catching plants, the flamingos of the high-altitude lagoons, and the microbes that live inside stone. We saw it in the spectacular, fleeting explosion of the flowering desert, a promise of life held dormant in the dust. The Atacama challenges our very perception of what a desert is. It's not an empty space, but a dynamic environment where the line between life and non-life is drawn in the finest sand. It teaches us that even at the absolute limit, where water is a memory and the ground is as alien as another planet, life doesn't just endure. It innovates, it adapts, and it waits for the slightest opportunity to burst forth in a defiant display of color.